There's no one single path to become a professional illustrator. There are many different ways, and in this video, I'll tell you about the 4 most common ones. Hello everyone! Welcome to our Business with Ness. I'm Ness and I'm a professional illustrator. As the title says, today we're exploring all the many different paths to become a professional illustrator. I love that there isn't just one way to do it. We can all have different ways to become a professional artist and create our career. And the way that I did it isn't necessarily the way that will work for you. And that's wonderful. So without any further ado, please do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and let's just jump right into it. Here are the 4 main paths to become a professional illustrator. Number 1, becoming an in-house artist. I think we don't talk enough about this option. I don't talk enough about this option on this channel. When we think about professional artists, often we think about the self-employed artists. But there are actually many in-house, permanent, full-time position opportunities for illustrator. And I myself worked in a studio for mobile games for 3 years. It was a permanent position and it was really interesting. I really liked it. Companies in many different markets are looking for in-house illustrators, for example, in animation, so for movies and TV shows both, even for online content now. The video game industry, both for AAA games, console games, computer games, or mobile games. And then many different companies that create different products like greeting card companies or stationery companies, textiles, home decor, apparel companies, and more. For example, my fellow YouTuber Elizabeth Silver, who is a surface designer, she started her career as a textile designer at Gap. And this was an in-house position that she had for many years, I think for 10 years, something like that. Some companies work with just freelancers, some companies just want to have in-house artists, and some companies do a little bit of both. It really depends. The advantages of being an in-house artist are stability, definitely. You always know that you have a job and you have a regular paycheck, which is a second advantage. You know exactly how much money is coming in every week or every 2 weeks. These jobs are permanent positions. They can come with benefits such as health insurance or medication insurance, pension, etc. And also you get to work with a team. So for everyone out there who is extrovert and who doesn't like to be home alone all the time working on your art and you want to actually see people, being an in-house artist can really work for you. However, disadvantages can be less creative freedom. As someone who's worked in a studio myself, I can really say in an in-house position, you're really kind of a hand for hire and you're really following very strict instructions. I find that I have more freedom now that I work freelance than when I was an in-house artist. There is also a pay ceiling. So although you can get promotions and you can get your paycheck, increase a little bit every year with inflation, there is a limit, that you can't go and make 1 million as an illustrator working in-house. There is a limit to how much you can earn in this position. And then also another disadvantage, meetings, which I know that can be a little bit funny, but for me personally, that was a very big negative, maybe the biggest negative when I was working in-house. I hated those meetings, especially when I had to go in the office early, like a 9 a.m. meeting. I'm not a morning person, and having to do a 2-hour meeting first thing in the morning on a Monday, that is just a whole circle of hell, in my opinion. But if you think that being an in-house artist is for you, here's how you can achieve that. In-house positions are regular jobs, so you can find them listed everywhere where jobs are listed, such as LinkedIn, Indeed, jobs.com, Glassdoor, etc. Very rarely they might offer remote options, but even when they do, sometimes it's more of a hybrid model. They do expect you to come into the office at least once a week. And so it is very location dependent. You may have to move unless you already live in a big city where there are a lot of studios. When I started my career, I lived in Montreal, which is kind of an animation and video games hub. So I had my choice of a bunch of different studios. But then when I moved to small town Ontario, not so much. And here where I am right now, a very small town of 14,000 people, there's no way that I could get an in-house position nowadays, unless it's remote, but those are very few and far between. In-house positions often also require a degree, not always, but some of them do, in something relevant like graphic design or animation or illustration or visual arts. They will have all the requirements in the job listings usually. And basically all that you need to get started is to have at least some of the requirements on the job listing. You need to have a nice resume and a nice little portfolio, and sometimes they may also request a test. So that's the first method, the first path to becoming an illustrator. When I think about it, that's kind of what I did, because I was a studio artist first and then I became freelance. The other three methods that we're going to discuss in this video are 100% self-employed. So let's go on to method number 2, which is using social media. And this method, I have to say, isn't necessarily my personal favorite, just because it can be very hit or miss. But when done well, it can be very effective. And the social media game is something that you have the power in your hands to learn how to do well so that you can become very successful with this method. So this method is leveraging social media to start your career. And basically in practice, that means starting to post your art on social media very often, regularly, kind of treating it as a job. This can be done with just one social media platform or multiple if you want to. Some options are Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, or there could be more. So basically, this is a content creation business model. And how this actually works to start making a living, first of all, on some of these platforms like TikTok, YouTube, you can monetize your content if you get enough views on it. You can start getting ad revenue from your posts even though you're not working directly with companies. You can also do sponsors. So those are paid advertisement opportunities directly with companies. Typically, those will be very lucrative compared to the ad revenue. It's a big one-time lump sum. And you can also attract different collaboration or freelancing opportunities from companies just by posting your art online. So for example, you post every day for 10 months, and then at some point, a company sees your art and they think, oh, this would be perfect for my project. So they contact you to hire you to work on their project. The advantages of the social media path is, first of all, lots of freedom. You're not working from a brief. You're basically creating whatever you want. So if you're someone who doesn't really like commercial art, or you don't like to have to create something based on specifications, this could be really cool for you. Another advantage of this method is that you don't have to pitch your work to companies or clients. People come to you. However, the disadvantages can be pretty steep. First of all, it's very slow going to start a career with this method, especially at first. It takes a very long time to monetize. You may be doing this for months or even years before you start seeing money. But there are some people who do it alongside with their full-time job, but then that can be very tiring because it's basically two jobs. There are other people, for example, Mimimu Illustration here on YouTube. She has talked about how she started her career, which basically she started on Instagram and YouTube. And I believe that she took a break from her work to focus on this 100%. And this is part of the reason why she was able to succeed relatively quickly for someone using this business model, but still it took her many months to start making an income. And in order to make a full-time income, I think it was only in her second or third year of business that she was actually achieving that. Another disadvantage is that there is a lot of competition. Lots of people are trying to do the same thing. Everyone is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. It is very difficult to stand out. You really have to have a lot of skill, a lot of persistence. You have to play the algorithm game as well. And personally, I don't mind that. I like figuring out what works and then working with that. But many people hate that. They hate having to cater to an algorithm. If you're someone who's like, I should get views on my art because it's good, I don't want to have to cater it to what people like on social media and their short attention span, etc., then I can tell you, you are not the right kind of person for this path because it is going to frustrate you to no end. And then lastly, another disadvantage is that you need extreme consistency and dedication to make this work. It's going to take time, and only get into this if you think that after a year with little results you can keep going, then maybe you can do it. But the good thing is, it's something that you can start anytime, even today. Another amazing thing is that this method builds you an audience. And an audience is an incredible asset as a business owner, as a self-employed artist. Having an audience that you can leverage in many different ways, that is huge. It takes effort to do that. It can take a long time before you have that audience, but it's definitely an asset that's worth building. You can leverage an audience in many different ways. For example, in the third path that we're going to talk about right now is one that works very well in conjunction with this social media method. So let's jump right into method number 3, is creating your own products. But right before we jump into that, I'm really curious to know, are you thinking about starting your own illustration career? If so, where are you currently in your journey? Are you just getting started, or are you a few steps in but you're unsure where to go next and how to make this bigger? No matter where you are, go in the comments right now and let me know. So as I said, method number 3 is creating your own products. The reason why this pairs so well with the previous method, the social media, is that when you have an audience, you can sell any product that you want. And as artists, we are ideally suited to make products. We can transform our art into so many different things that our audience might be interested in buying. That can be things like art prints, commissions, clothing, Patreon subscriptions, online classes, Procreate brushes, original art, digital downloads. It can be your own self-published picture books, stickers, mugs, tote bags, shoes, whatever you want. But that's not to say that you have to start on social media as your first step. If you are interested in creating products, you can sell them in all types of different ways, not just social media. You can sell products at in-person events such as craft fairs, conventions, farmers markets. You can run Facebook ads. You can build a mailing list and send special offers to your subscribers. And of course, social media. There are many artists who successfully use YouTube in order to sell their products. For example, Catnip right here on YouTube, she showcases the day-to-day of running her little art business, and this leads to great sales for her in her shop. The reason that I like the idea of creating your own products is because there are so many illustrators who are waiting and waiting and waiting for a company to finally give them a chance and give them a contract. But we don't have to wait always. We don't need anyone's permission to make our art into the products that we want to see. If you've been pitching your books to publishers for months or years and no one wants your book, publish it yourself. Create your own art prints, create your own t-shirts. Especially nowadays, we have so many different resources available for us to help us create these products without necessarily having to do a huge initial investments. There are things like Kickstarters or print-on-demand platforms. So you can do it in a way that is a lot more easy, a lot more affordable as well. Some advantages of creating your own products, as I said, don't wait on anyone. You can start now. The second biggest advantage is that you can create whatever you want, even if it's a little bit odd. There are a lot of artists who have created just amazing things that I'm not sure if they would have been able to pitch to someone else, but it turned out to be so great. For example, Strange Planet by Nathan Pyle, one of my favorite things ever. Another advantage is that the possibility for scaling are infinite. There is no pay ceiling. When you have your own products, The only limitation you have is the quality of your own marketing. It's possible to make millions. It's not necessarily probable. It's very difficult, but it is a possibility. And you can always learn more. You can take marketing classes, you can take art business classes, and you can learn more about how to sell your products to scale that business to however big you want it. Now, some of the disadvantages, first of all, creating a product can be quite an undertaking, especially if it's your first. It can be difficult at first. You have to do sometimes a lot of research. It's creating something from nothing, and since you're creating it yourself, not with a company, you kind of need to do everything, right? You need to wear all the hats. Another disadvantage is that sometimes it can be a bit of an initial investment. Depends how you go about it. There are many things that you can create for free or for very cheaply, but there are things where you might need to put in a little bit of an initial investment. So that's something to consider. So if you do go for this road, what I would recommend is to start small. You don't need to create 100 different products to start your shop. And I wouldn't also recommend starting with a super complicated product like an online course or even something like a picture book. Those can be really big things to start with, but you can start with something like stickers, right? A little sticker, that's much easier to start with. You can make 10 designs and have 10 different sticker designs and put them all in a shop, and that's enough for you to start with. If you want to sell something like online classes, you can start a bit smaller. Maybe start with Procreate brushes. Then maybe create a little paid guide, like a little ebook. Work your way up to the online class, which is kind of more complicated to build. I say this from personal experience because I went straight away into creating online courses, and a really big one at that, not a little mini course, but a huge program that took me over a year to create. And it was a really big undertaking, and I wish I would have started with a smaller workshop first to kind of ease myself into it. So that's what I would recommend. But by now I've created dozens of art products and I absolutely love it. It's my favorite way to make money as an artist because it's very freeing. I can do whatever I want. It's always fun, and whatever I create is 100% mine. If you're interested in creating your own products, I have a free guide that might interest you. It's called 101 Etsy Product Ideas for Artists. Of course, this doesn't just work for Etsy. These are ideas that could work for any art shop that you want to create anywhere or even sell in person. So if you're interested in the guide, as I said, it is completely free, and I will leave the link to that on the screen and also in the description down below. And lastly, path number 4 is reaching out to companies directly. That is another popular way to become a professional illustrator, and that is to look for companies to hire you, to give you contracts and collaborate with. And the key to success as a freelance illustrator is to actively look for contracts yourself instead of waiting for companies to come to you. Reach out to them because this is such a quicker way to get the ball rolling. Any company that you want to work with is just an email away, and with some persistence, you can land some of the contracts of your dreams. When I left my studio job in 2018, this is the way that I went, and I really recommend it because out of all the methods that we talked about today, it's one of the easiest ways and fastest ways to get started. And that might be a little bit shocking for you to hear because it is not easy, but it is easier. There's a lower barrier to entry because all you need is a nice portfolio website, and then you can get started with that. You can start reaching out to companies and pitch them your work. So advantages of this method is compared to the others like social media or making products, it's relatively quick to start. All you have to do is make your portfolio website, which can be quite a bit of work by itself, but you don't have to get a degree. You don't have to make an entire product from scratch. Just put together your best work and you're ready to go. Another advantage is that this is an active method. You are in control of who you reach out to and who you want to work with and who gets to see your work. Instead of waiting, like on social media, instead of waiting for opportunities to come to you, you are creating opportunities yourself. I'm a very big fan of an active method because I'm not one to wait around for things to happen. And as I said, another advantage is that you get to control who you work with. When you wait for people to reach out to you, you're not in control of who is going to end up talking with you. But when you are deciding who you want to contact, then you get to decide, oh, I would really love to work with American Greetings. I would really love to work with Scholastic. You just get their email address and you reach out to them. Now, the disadvantage is it can be quite intimidating or scary to reach out to companies. And I have to say, this is something that gets a lot better with practice. At first, it is scary as heck. You hit send on that email and your heart is absolutely beating down because you have to face the possibility of getting rejected or getting ignored, which from my own personal experience, getting ignored is a lot more plausible. It's very rare that people will say, oh no, I hate your art. That's not gonna happen. They could say no, but usually they'll be very polite about it. Most of the time, it's the silence. People don't answer if they don't have a contract for you right now. So you can send dozens of emails and not get a response, and that can feel very discouraging. And so a lot of persistence is needed in order to succeed with this method. If you're interested in taking the freelance path, I also have another free guide that might interest you. It's called 7 Surprising Ways to Get Illustration Clients. It's another completely free guide. So if you're interested, I will leave the link here on the screen and in the description below. But that's it for me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And if you did, then don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to help our small channel grow. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.